Hello and welcome to
Living simply,
Simply
and
and
fun.
Fun. Simply and Fun, yes. Sorry, I'm not entirely with it today, but yeah, I know.
Brain stimulant.
First of all, I'd like to hold a moment for
Hiroshi Yamauchi, Nintendo's own founder. He passed away today. May he always be in video game heaven.
Without him, who knows where we'd be today.
He revitalized the video game
Some people would
industry.
say he destroyed the world as we know it by introducing video games and creating all sorts of deadbeats.
Is that why that song was around? It's the end of the world as we know it, but
No,
I feel fine.
I don't think so. But some people would say that he's created degenerates in this lifetime that wouldn't have been here otherwise without the video game.
Degenerates meaning lazy people that want to skip school, play video games, and not give a damn about
And then
the
they
world.
don't want to work, and they end up, working minimum wage jobs because they can't finish school or anything like that. However, here's another thing with the video game market the way that it is. Back then, people wanted to get into making video games, and then they wanted to make better video games, and well, better video games required better software and better computers, and heck, in some ways, he spurred the technology that we've, this flux of technology that we've seen, all sorts of computer upgrades and stuff. Heck, what we see now, we'd never have seen in 1980, 1985.
1981 is when they invented the arcade Donkey Kong. Hiroshi Yamauchi had his hands in it. By the way, he was the executive producer of The Legend of Zelda, Metroid. Metroid wasn't really built by Shigeru Miyamoto. It was Mario and Zelda that was Shigeru Miyamoto. Now, I want to say something before we continue about this. This is a list of stuff that I got to go through, not that this is fun for me. Music lists of the game series that I grew up with, okay? If it wasn't for Hiroshi Yamauchi, we wouldn't have people thinking about wanting music CDs for video games on the...
There's not a big market for it, but...
But a lot of people do collect it. And he told the gamers back then, the game makers, we want music that's addicted to people, that people can love on the internet.
And you want to talk about number of jobs created. Look at all these production companies that produce video games and all the programmers and voice actors and all that stuff they have to hire. The directors, the story writers. It's actually a huge deal. And not only that, there's all the businesses that sell those that are able to hire more people because they have to have somebody stock that section. So, literally, the video game market and industry has truly been a boon for society. So.
If it wasn't for Hiroshi Yamauchi, here's another thing we must say before we get into the fun thing, or what he wants to talk about is, Hiroshi Yamauchi came out with an idea in 1985. He came up with the mascot. It took 1990 or 1991 for Sega to come up with Sonic. So there you go. Sonic wanted to come out. They came out with Sonic to compete with Mario. But Mario already had a foothold in the door since 1981, also known as Jumpman.
Yep.
Since then, they brought out some other characters. Nintendo's Legend of Zelda.
Anyways, let's move on. We don't have much time. I want to keep this under 10 minutes as usual. So, anyways, for dinner tonight, I had red bean and rice wraps, which there's plenty of leftovers tomorrow. I used Zatarain's red bean and rice, which was $1.49 for the box. You can find that at any Walmart, probably most of your grocery stores too. Very popular brand. It's more expensive at probably your local grocery store than Walmart. And then the wraps for me were $1.50, but I get 2 meals out of that at $3. That's $1.50 a meal. By the way, frankly, I'm a big guy, so a family of 3 could easily eat on that, and that's $1 a meal for the family of 3.
For me, I had Farmhouse white cheddar pasta and a package of cheddar Little Smokies by Hillshire Farm.
Now,
and that costed, this was $1.49 per box, and the Little Smokies on sale at Walmart were $2.50. My meal came to $4 for dinner.
Now, I'll say this about this. It is annoying 18 to 20 minutes of cooking time with constant stirring. And your wrist gets quite numb stirring that frequently. So that's what I got to say on that. So I said yesterday that I'd talk about ways to save money. I have a very low income. Rather very, very low, and can't afford much of anything. Heck, I can't even afford any of my medications or anything. But there are several ways you can save up money, particularly for trips and stuff. I've tried to pass some of these past Rita, but it seems something she's not interested in. But you can take... do you have a basic envelope somewhere? Yes, you could take a package of envelopes. And what you do is you write on it what you want with it, and hopefully your want will be strong enough to keep you out of the envelope. That is one way if you want cash and stuff. I mean, if your desire for something is strong enough, then when you see a reminder of that, are you going to jeopardize what you're doing for it for something that really doesn't matter that much? And if you do, you're desperate for the money to begin with. So you might want to get into it for $15, $20, and eventually you'll end up making it all back up, though. So it'll end up working out in the long run for you as a possible way of saving money, and I'll come up with other ways of saving money that are free without necessarily using a bank, and even a person who doesn't have enough money for anything can manage to save something now and then. Besides, you should always have some money on hand. We all like our TVs and our computers, and well, if you're poor and you don't have the money and your computer dies, what are you going to do? But you have $200 in savings or so, and you might be able to swing getting yourself a computer if the inevitable happens at a bad time. And, well, it may mean you don't get your PS3 you wanted, or the upgrade to the TV you wanted, but what's more important. And so it's always a good idea to have some type of savings on hand. So you have anything to add to this? We got 2.5 minutes left, if anything.
Yes, I do. I agree with the cash method, but I have another method for you all if you want to do this. Now, some places charge fees. I don't like fees. Now, what I do recommend is a zero fee, a prepaid card that you put your money on it. You earmark it for emergencies or for your goal. Me, I have an American Express prepaid card. I go down to Walmart. I can either put it on, I believe, MoneyGram, Western Union, or a money pack. It costs a couple dollars, but once you put that money on it, you earmark it and not touch it. And you always accumulate it. Some cards have a limit of $10,000 for savings. Others have less. Keep it on hand. That could be used for, say, travel. Like I want to go to the Philippines or Japan or Ireland or some other places that people know I want to go to. Or we're going to Kentucky, for example, in Ohio and Montana. The American Express card will come in handy. So,
however, I like things that actually have some substance to it, and a credit card might have substance to it, but I can't see what's mine on it, you know. And so, although that's a good idea, I'm kind of like Silas Marner pre-epi, for those who know the story. I like to, in some ways, sit there and count my gold out every night. Not that I do. But in fact, I don't. But
even though I
still like to have it so that I can put my hand on it, because I want to know it's actually there. With a card, what if it gets canceled for some reason? I didn't cancel it. I've seen things like that happen. But what if you lose your card? Sometimes it's very hard to get a replacement card on one of those prepaids.
American Express gives free cards in case of a problem. The thing is I want to say this, even though I can go over 15 minutes. Here's the problem. The problem with the cards is you might lose it, someone might steal it, but if you have an envelope with cash in it, let's just say someone breaks in your house and they take it or something, you got to hide your money very carefully. So the card is good for that reason. It's replaceable.
What's on that shelf right there?
An envelope.
No. The shelf.
Video games.
And movies. Every one of those DVD cases, a potential place to stick your money. What about all that up there? CD cases, potential place to stick your money. On the top shelf there, books. Potential place to open up a book, stick your money inside.
I just
Another
want to
place.
say, for me, I have a fireproof safe, so I'm not worried there.
Or you can have a fireproof safe, one heavy enough people can't move. Then you don't have to worry about people breaking in and stealing it because they're not going to get away with it.
My point is
also, most of us have a house with drawers in it, don't we? And drawers have a tendency to slide out and slide in. Well, oftentimes the bottom drawer in our kitchen shelves and stuff has an empty area underneath. You can always stick it under there. If you're really risky enough, you could always unscrew your TV, pull the back off, put your money inside the TV and close it up. I wouldn't recommend that. It could burn up.
I wanted to say,
if you have an old one, though, that doesn't work, it might be a worthwhile place. Especially if it's old enough that you figure a robber's going to look at it and be like hunk of junk, and they're not going to take it. So
I was going to say, the other thing about cards is, in this day and age, the government's slowly fading cash out, so it's going to be cards. So that's why I said the card could be good. Or, if you don't feel like that, you can go through certain places online or banks if you don't have a bank account. It costs you a couple dollars to do it. But when you're traveling, like he says, for saving money, you can always request traveler's check.
yeah, so I wouldn't really want to travel with a huge wad of cash, and be like, oh yes, here, let me get you a 50 out of here. And then some guy sitting there watching like, dang, that's a huge roll. And, well, I've actually seen people do this. I had a friend in high school whose father would come into my gas station with a roll, seriously, that big around.
A nice ducket?
And he'd pull it out of his pocket and he'd flip the whole thing open to pull out a bill. And the guy was always loaded with cash. I swear he carried his entire life savings with him, but...
Sounds like my uncle when he cashes his Social Security check every month.
Yeah, and then I found out that guy ended up getting killed, so I'm quite sure it might have had something to do with that. He ran deli marts or whatever, and he was robbed coming out of his deli mart one night when he was closing up, and they killed him.
So be very careful if you're going to carry cash. That's why I carry a debit card, because I don't like carrying cash, and if I do carry cash, it's usually just enough money for the bus fare.
Well, I'd say that's all I have to say. Do you have anything?
I don't have anything to say.
Well,
what's tomorrow's topic tomorrow?
We'll figure it out tomorrow. So from Aaron and Aries, have a nice night or day or afternoon.
Please add and subscribe if you like. Please post comments in the box if you like. And please add us as friends if you like. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening.